somebody or a token because of the good work somebody has done. I think a lot of thought was put into this, and His Excellency the President must have seen the value of having me as his nominee, the director, as a Director General of National Intelligence Service. I think there was a question by Honorable Wanjiru on, sorry, maybe if you can, sorry? I think I've addressed, because all the three questions are revolving around that, unless there's a question of...
No, it's the same. You've pretty much answered almost the same, but of course you're using, you've responded without necessarily responding to her directly, but it's the same answer. We'll take the last team. This one you can take the 4. So, Honorable Sloya, Honorable Abdulkadir, Honorable Ikana, and then finally Honorable Ume.
Yeah. My name is Lawyer, like I said, and mine is just very simple. In your working as a DPP, you may have made friends and enemies, because you got to have worked with various agencies like the NIS, the police, and DCI. My question is, how would you handle a situation where you need to work with someone who has a different opinion than yours? Then 2, in trying to refocus on how intelligence information is collected by NIS, how would you determine if a source of intelligence information is trustworthy? Thank you.
Abdulkadir, Honorable Abdulkadir.
Thank you, Chairman. And Noordin, welcome once again to this parliamentary committee. And firstly, let me congratulate you for your nomination to this critical office. I know you had a checkered career within NIS, and later on DPP. So I think it is with this great appreciation of your track record that His Excellency President has, out of his wisdom, decided to nominate you to this position.
Honorable Abdulkadir, please just go straight to the question.
My question is, based on your inside knowledge of NIS, please identify 2 areas in its present operations that you believe to be addressed in order to obtain smarter, effective outcome. The operation that you think that can be changed, the current operation. The other one is this country is facing huge threats from terrorism within the country and outside. Al-Shabaab, Mugiki, rogue breachers. What is your plan for more efficient intelligence gathering should you be approved? The other question is, as you said earlier, most of the cases of breach of security in this country NIS do have information and they give the information to security agencies. What is your plan to strengthen the existing coordination mechanism between NIS and other security organs, especially lower administrative structures like counties, sub-counties, and even ward level? Thank you.
Honorable Ikana.
Thank you, Chairman. Welcome, Mr. Haji. Now this is Freddy Kana, Member of Parliament, Shinyalu. I have a quick question. One of the emerging security threats to this country is tax evasion. And I think the President has been on the forefront in trying to fight these people who are evading taxes and avoiding their share of national duty in developing this country. I want to know if this committee approves you to be our next head of intelligence. What strategy do you have in place to support the President and, of course, the nation in addressing the issue of tax evasion. Then finally, I've had a look at your CV, and I must say I'm impressed with the meteoric rise in positions of on promotions. But of course, out of curiosity, I see between 2013 and 2016, you were promoted 3 times. And some of the promotion actually came in a span of less than 6 months. So just out of curiosity, maybe just to clarify to myself and Kenyans, to what extent that this would be attributed to your good family name, and of course, connections and influence.
I think the last question,
Thank
in
you.
all fairness, is extremely unnecessary, and I will guide that you did not respond to that. Honorable Ume, please.
Thank you, Chair. And once again, I would like to congratulate the nominee. I've been following the good work you did throughout your term at the office of DPP, but the office you intend to, or the office you seek to occupy currently, is an office that in the eyes of the public has lost a lot of trust. And there are many cases of EGK, especially the extrajudicial killings. And myself, from where I sit, my uncle, I lost him to EGK in 2019. And up until now, the case has never gone anywhere. So how do you intend to address these issues, especially to regain the trust in the eyes of Kenyans? Thank you.
And just as a rider, so that Honorable Ikana does not feel that I was a bit harsh on him, is that you're a member of parliament. Tomorrow your son shall not be denied an opportunity to be a member of parliament merely because they carry the Ikana name. So I think that that is on that note, and I don't want us to escalate beyond that.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. You know, some of these questions we are asking not on our own behalf. We are asking because the people who are asking, some of the people we are representing, have those questions on their mind.
But you
so it's
them,
only good that it is clarified.
There's a criteria that Parliament uses during this vetting, and I'm sure you had seen it earlier. Academic qualification and the rest, you are aware of them. Those people are not aware of them. Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. And I would want to, first of all, correct Honorable Ikana. I was not promoted 3 times consecutively. Please look at the CV properly. Don't confuse holding different offices, being transferred from one office to the other, as being promotions. Those are not promotions. I held different offices in different departments under the same level. So I was never, and I have never been promoted. I think, I believe I am a man who is self-made, but I thank my late father for creating a foundation for all of us, and that is not a crime. I think it is something that I'm proud of, and I'm not going to hide that I'm the son of the late Honorable Mohammed Yusuf Haji. On the issue of emerging threats, and you are talking about tax evasion, I think as NIS, again, what we will do is provide timely intelligence that is well analyzed and that will add value, and that will be intelligence that is actionable, which means KRA can use it to recover tax evasion or taxes that have been evaded. And I think that is the best thing that NIS can do. Of course, we will also try to leverage on technology to ensure that we are able to give the capability to the government to get the required taxes so that we can be a country that is self-sufficient to carry its own economic activities effectively. On the question by Honorable Abdi, 2 areas that can be changed. I think I had tried to expound on the gap between parts of Kenya, that we have a part of Kenya that is well developed, that is in the 21st century, that is dependent on technology. And we have parts of Kenya that are behind. There is no infrastructure. The kind of threats that we are faced with are traditional, old threats, and not new emerging threats that other parts of Kenya are doing. And what I would want to do as director, if given an opportunity to be the Director General of NIS, I'm sorry, I think I'm very eager to go and forget, but if I'm confirmed by this Honorable House, I would want to reconfigure NIS to be fit for purpose. What do I mean fit for purpose? I mean that we should have a national intelligence service that can, transcend these two continuums. One that is in the 21st century and another that is in the 20th or 19th century. And the threats are varying and different. And the best way we can do this is to ensure that we are able to leverage on technology. Yes, there has been a lot of concentration on cyber threats. We have had a lot of cyber attacks, but we must be able as NIS to forestall those attacks. And one way of doing this is, for example, having the capacity of not only defending ourselves. I think for a long time we have been concentrating on how best we defend ourselves against such threats, but also thinking outside the box of how can we also be offensive? How can we have capabilities that allow us to go beyond and do activities that other nations are able to do? One other thing that I would want to put to deal with the other side of the country is being able to collect human intelligence from the ground. Because if you have a place that doesn't have infrastructure, there's no way you're going to wholly depend on technology. If you look at what happened in Iraq, for example, there was an intelligence gap by the US that depended wholly on technology to gather intelligence. So what I'm saying is that we will have to have the human resource that is so diverse that we can be able to go and collect intelligence from a cattle rustler somewhere in West Pokot or Samburu. That we don't have officers who are sitting pretty with suits and looking at computers and laptops, yet we have a problem, a huge problem in another part of the country that requires us as an intelligence service to posture differently. What I'm saying is that as an intelligence service, we will be forward-looking. We will be proactive. We will ensure that we go to the ground to collect the requisite intelligence that would add value to our national security. I think there was a question by Honorable Umi. Sorry, Honorable Lawyer first.
Honorable Sloya.
Sorry. Sloya. Sorry, sir. Honorable Sloya. On the issue of partnerships, I think partnerships are going to be critical, and it is one of the planks that we're going to have to work with. When I was in the ODPP, I was elected the Vice Chair of the National Council on Administration of Justice because of the input that I had put in helping the Chief Justice in building synergy and coordination and collaboration within the criminal justice system. I was also elected as the President of the Eastern African Association of Prosecutors because of the partnership that ODPP managed to bring between Kenya and other Eastern African countries. So partnership is going to be key. And there is no way as NIS we are going to be able to work. For example, the threat of terrorism requires us to work in concert with other nations, both regionally and internationally. So the issue of partnership is going to be key, and we are going to ensure that we leverage. Of course, the underlining, what we're going to place importance on is the kind of cooperation we are going to undertake. We are going to evaluate it. Does it add value to our national security interests? If they do, then we will engage. We will place our national interests first. So partnership, Honorable Chair, is going to be key, and it is something that we are going to strengthen in NIS. The question by Honorable Umi on EJK. First, I want to I'm looking for the right word, but to condole with you and say sorry for the loss of your uncle. Of course, EJK is unconstitutional. It is illegal, and it is something that hopefully, if given this chance under my leadership, we will not condone or entertain. We have, even under ODPP, undertaken quite a number of investigations to investigate those people who have been involved in EJKs. But we have also prosecuted quite a number of police officers who have been found guilty of extrajudicial killing. In fact, under my tenure, we were able to bring quite a number of cases, over 150 cases against police officers, rogue police officers. Of course, this is not to say that all police officers are rogues. There are usually elements within the police that have to be dealt with, because if they're allowed to continue, they dent the image of the police and the government itself. And on those occasions, together with the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, we were able to bring over 150 cases, and we were able to get quite a number of convictions against police officers that were brought. And it is during my tenure also, Honorable Chair, that we were able for the first time to bring a case in court against what we call command responsibility. That it can no longer be tolerated that only junior police officers are being arrested, yet those seniors who gave them instructions do not take responsibility. So for the first time as the office of the ODPP, we have brought cases against senior police officers who are involved in killings of innocent Kenyans. Honorable Chair, of course, the Bills of Rights under the Constitution is very clear, and as the nominee, and hopefully if I'm given the opportunity, I pledge to this committee that I will observe them and ensure that NIS operates within the confines of the Constitution. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
We'll take from Honorable Vice Chair. Honorable Kalabias?
Not really a question, Chair, just
Okay.
a further clarification. I just wanted to get a clear clarification from the nominee. Earlier on, you said the 4 petitions that were filed against you, were they withdrawn, or did you subpoena the court?
Thank you. There were actually 20 cases, and they were all withdrawn. There is one that was a petition. There's a difference between petition. All petitions were withdrawn, and all cases in court against me were withdrawn. And I did not petition. It is the petitioners themselves who withdraw. There is one petition last week, I think you must have seen, by Transparency International, that was taken to the Public Service Commission. I think that is the only one. The Public Service Commission is yet to communicate to me.
Okay, Honorable Vice Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Some of my questions probably much later will touch on in camera. I'm sure we have exhausted for the next phase, probably as the Chair directed, if you go to on camera, we'll be able to delve. But first, congratulations, Noordin, for the nomination and the trust that the President has in you. Most of the things have been covered, but one aspect is about the mandate of NIS. Calls for a high degree of dependence on the organizational independence. If approved as the DG, how will you balance this between cooperation with the executive while maintaining the agency's autonomy, impartiality, and commitment to national security? The next one, and I'm sure you have talked about, is the issue of HUMINT, that is the human intelligence. And I'm sure you reckon that NIS has become too elitist. Too elitist. That is our observation, and I'm sure most Kenyans believe so. And as you said, most parts of this country are not equal. There are ones in 21st century, others are in 20th and 19th century. And how are you going to revamp that aspect of being too elitist, even in where elitism is not required? The other aspect is on a rider that Honorable Omi has mentioned. And, as per the national security under Article 238 of the Constitution, requires compliance with the law and is in relation to the issue of extrajudicial killings, especially cases related to terrorism. How are you, if approved by this committee and the National Assembly, are you going to deal with compliance of this, especially your institution complying with this law? Thank you.
Please combine with this last one from Honorable Wangari.
Chair, I actually didn't want to follow up that time so that every member gets a chance to ask. But I didn't get an answer of what you have done so far in the issue of proliferation of small arms, especially in the north and the Kerio Valley. And there's also something else that you have said, maybe a clarification, that your office, in terms of the withdrawal of cases, had no capacity to actually ascertain the credence of the documentation that was submitted to you, and you relied on trust. So how then did you figure it out eventually? And what does that mean to the cases that were not withdrawn, that some even got convictions? Does that put it now to the balance of the credibility of the cases, which could even be more than the ones that were withdrawn?
Proceed, Mr. Haji.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The question by the Vice Chair on how we will relate with the executive, if I'm not wrong. I think the Constitution is very clear. We have the National Security Council, where all the members happen to be the executive, but NIS also has the National Intelligence Council that oversees it. It has membership there. But of course, this House itself, this committee itself, is envisaged under Section 65 of the NIS as trying to bring balance so that it is not a complete executive affair of the executive. I think as much as NIS is an independent organ, independent in the sense that it's supposed to give intelligence and is supposed to be apolitical, it is still part of the executive arm of government. I think the most important thing is being able to observe the Constitution from issues of chapter 6, ensuring that there is integrity in what we are doing, and the balance is actually brought about by the different oversight bodies that exist. As a NIS, we will ensure that the intelligence we produce is appropriate, accurate, and timely, and that it adds value, and that it is not there to be used for the benefit of any arm of government over the other. And I think from the question, I can discern that the fear is the NIS being utilized to sort out political issues. What I want to say is that I assure you that NIS will continue being professional and ensuring that the intelligence that is produced is actually used for the benefit of the national security of this country. In any case, the Constitution is very clear that the mandate of NIS is to collect security and counterintelligence. The issue of HUMINT, I think, I'm sorry if I sounded like I was saying NIS is too elitist. I think in NIS we have an array, but we can still be able to build on the diversity of the human resource that we have, so that it reflects the threats that we are likely to face. And in that way, I think the recruitment processes will have to be relooked at in terms of who are we targeting. We will have to target a cadre that is professional in terms of the requirements and the professional gaps that we need to fill in. But we will also have to have a cadre, as I said earlier, that can be able to cover the different facets of this country. And this therefore means maybe we will have low cadre in the sense that we might have to recruit people who finished Form 4. And we should not maybe confine ourselves to individuals who only have diplomas and degrees. So in that way, we will try to cast the net much wider and get a bigger spectrum of our population. On the issue of EJK, I think, first of all, I would want, and I hope it is not controversial, but the cases that I have dealt with when it comes to EJK, there are maybe just one that I can think of where officers from NIS have been mentioned. Most of the other EJK cases cannot really be attributed to NIS. But that is something that I want to say. Because NIS plays a critical role, especially in multi-agency formations and teams, and tries to add value in how counterterrorism is being dealt with. I think what I want to commit myself with here is that we shall ensure that at least the input of the NIS is to safeguard the human rights of each and every Kenyan. And the Constitution envisages whether you're a criminal or not. Of course, there are certain instances where if it is combat or something that the force that has been used is commensurate with the threat, that is something that then can be explained. But what I want to commit myself here is that we shall be an institution that observes the Constitution and the human rights of each and every individual. On the issue of proliferation of some small arms, I think in relation to the work that I was doing under counter-organized crime, proliferation of small arms fell under what you call the internal division, not under COC. However, maybe what I can address is, if I'm given the opportunity, probably what I can do. And with this, I think being able to have an array of possibilities of collecting intelligence will be important. But a lot of the proliferation of small arms occurs within our borders. I think as Director General, if confirmed as Director General of NIS, we will have to ensure that we are able to cover these areas adequately through collecting of intelligence, as I said, HUMINT. And a lot of this can actually be attributed to the fact that the arms are coming in these areas that have no infrastructure, and then finding themselves into Kenya. But also, international cooperation and regional cooperation will be key to ensure that we are able to deal with the proliferation of small arms. Regional instability has meant that there's a rise in this. With the instability in Sudan, in South Sudan, in Ethiopia, already in Somalia, that we have had to live with for a long time. This is likely to go up. But as I said, we will try and configure ourselves in such a way that we can be able to surmount this problem. I think one of the roles of NIS, which I would also want to enhance, is being able to forecast the future and gear ourselves to threats that are likely to come up. And proliferation of small arms is one likely threat that is going to grow, and it will be a problem for us. I sometimes say we are in the wrong neighborhood. We are a strong democratic country that is relatively peaceful, but we have very unstable, in a very unstable neighborhood. But that actually means that we must redefine how we deal with threats that are likely to come to us. On the issue of documents and the credence, this came about by affidavits from the officers themselves. They came up, wrote, and said that there's a problem here, and they pointed out what those problems are. And that's how we were able then to review the cases, withdraw them, and actually what we have done is we've taken all those cases back to the DCI to reinvestigate and give us a final view of how these cases should either proceed or the files being closed. We have not closed the files. What we have done is we have returned so that they can be reviewed and that evidence can be tabled to us, which means where an officer has tampered with the documents, then they will, the files will come back and will prosecute those officers. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
I think after this far, you've really tried to stay very professionally responsive, particularly on issues that I will have initially thought will have touched on the core mandate of national intelligence without necessarily divulging much of the operations that are sensitive and classified for that matter. So unless to execute political assignments. I have been a victim personally, but I'm not I'm not saying that you go after them. All I'm saying is that if this committee accords you favor, try as much as possible to remove the officers who taint the name of a very professional National Intelligence Service. Make it as professional as possible. Debunk the mystery that surrounds intelligence gathering and officers of intelligence, people who are in hot pursuit of politicians or senior people or just ordinary people should not be in your service. Let you have your professional service linked from the political class, execute your job of gathering information and giving intelligence to the head of state and for the betterment of our country. Secure our borders, that is one of your jobs, to make sure that there's enough information for any form of extremism, from any religion, and that is the advice that I will, or something that I will want to add to what my honorable colleagues have said here. So, Honorable Mamusi, if it is a question that is classified, I can ask the judge.
No, but Chair, it's just to answer on what you've asked, and my opinion, Chair, and if members agree, I think if the nominee is passed by this committee and the House, he will be able to answer sensitive questions while in office. But for now, I feel like we've exhausted. If members agree, we should leave it at that. But having said that, no, it's not a question, it's just a comment. The nominee, Chair, is very well placed, having served in NIS before, and having served in your current capacity as ODPP, you indicated that you now know the gaps between intelligence and actioning that. Chair, if the nominee is passed by this committee, it will be very good for you to bring legislation that can seal these gaps. That will be your first assignment if you're passed by this committee. Thank you.
So, Mr. Noordin Haji, I'll give you the 3-4 minutes to still give your final remarks and your final plea for this committee to consider your nomination favorably. Please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. First of all, maybe on the issue that you raised, I have often wondered why Section 66 of the ODPP, of the NIS Act has not been operationalized, and that's the Complaints Board. I will go and look at why there has been delay. Maybe there are valid reasons as to why there have been delays to operationalize it. But I think that would be one way of ensuring that when there are complaints like this, these officers can be dealt with adequately. What I want to assure this committee is that I will strive to ensure that NIS observes the Constitution and the rule of law, and that we actually discharge our mandate within the Constitution and the constitutional frameworks that we have. And if confirmed, I want to assure you, Honorable Chair, members, and Kenyans in general, that I will try and ensure that NIS is a professional, efficient, effective organization guided by high fidelity to the Constitution and the law. I also want to commit myself to ensure that I work very closely with this committee as an oversight committee for Kenyans in general. So please rest assured that I will avail myself in person unless there are any reasons why to come and ensure that you effectively discharge your mandate. Honorable Chair, I want to thank His Excellency the President for giving me this opportunity, and for this committee also for being very kind and allowing me to answer the questions and even attempting to give a long opening statement. Thank you, Honorable Chair, and I look forward to working with you. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Haji. I can promise you that this committee is non-adversarial. We will be very objective in evaluating your suitability as the next Director General. We will soon retreat to write a report, extremely objective report. These people are very professional, and I just hope that they accord you that favor. Before then, I can only wish you all the best. You might leave at your pleasure. Just for the record, for the members of the press, it is that DPP Haji has given us all the statutory requirements. We have all of them here with us, and none has been left out. Thank you, Mr. Haji. You might leave at your pleasure.